Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it. Houston, welcome to another episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. My name is Rudy Segura. Today, whenever you're listening to this show, man, we have a good one for you. And I am joined by Cristian Putalias. What's up, brother? How you doing?
Yeah, Paso, how's everybody doing? How y'all doing, guys?
Yeah, not too bad, man. Not too bad. We also got Rodrigo Segura, man. How you doing, Rodrigo?
Doing well. How are you guys doing?
Not too bad. We'll get into this. We have a lot to talk about. And then we're also joined by the one and only Joey Stads. What's up, Joey? How you doing?
What's up, guys? Doing great. It's been a while since I've been on here.
Yeah, man, we missed you.
I've said this before, but I love Joey's name. Joey Stats is probably the best nickname that you could ever have.
Yeah.
Dude, Finn came up with that on the fly.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
It's pretty badass.
Yeah, we'll give a shout out to Finn. Hopefully, we need to invite him to this show someday. But granted, he's too famous. He may not want to show his face in public here. But yeah, welcome to another episode. We have a lot to talk about. Houston soccer continues to go through the summer. Obviously, we have the Dynamo Dos taking care of MLS Next Pro, at least trying to. We'll touch on that a little bit with Christian. The Dash as well, kind of break from regular season due to the Women's World Cup happening. So we'll get Joey's thoughts on the Dash and what they're doing right now in the Challenge Cup. And of course, man, we'll hit on the one that we tend to deal with the most, which is the Dynamo. 2 games already in Leagues Cup. I believe we didn't really get to touch a lot on it about the Orlando game. So it's one of those. We have a lot to talk about, and I guess Christian, man, tell the people about our sponsor.
Yes, like you said, Senate Avenue Brewing Company. Don't forget, guys, if y'all are looking to not only have a good time, but drink good beer, catch a game here or there, or just support local community, local micro brewery. That's a hard word. Breweries.
You got it, man. You got it out.
But yeah, y'all can go check out Senate Avenue right there, kind of right off of 290 and Bellwood 8. So in the Jersey Village area. I mean, honestly, anywhere in town, just hit the loop. You'll get there. Eventually, it's just a circle, so you won't get lost. Just get off on 290 and then just, Senate Avenue is right there. So shout out to Andrew at Senate Avenue. And you guys can get at them. Ooh, I'm like almost up right now. At Senate Avenue or Senate Ave, on Instagram. And they always have like really cool stuff for the community. They have like turtle races and little cars and ramps, and they do a bunch of different things. So go check them out. They might even have a tiger sometime. But that's probably false advertisement, but they have really good beer, so go check those guys out.
Hey, you won't find out unless you go. That's all I gotta say.
Exactly.
You never know. So you may be absolutely hitting that correctly. But again, I hope you guys have been doing good. If you guys have any interesting stories, this is the time to share. If you guys want, actually, I was gonna ask you, Joey, was there any games that you went to for I was gonna say New England, New Mexico United. This weekend, was there one?
No, I didn't go to anyone this weekend. There was Detroit
I
this
saw
weekend.
Yeah, I had to throw that shout out, man, because I'm sure people may what's it called, hear you talk about New Mexico, and they probably aren't necessarily sure that you're a boy that covers the best guy that covers the Dynamo and the Dash in New Mexico. Like, hands down, bro. You're probably elite right there.
So, appreciate it.
But we'll start with you and talking a little bit about the Dash, Joey. We know that, again, the NWSL is on break right now due to the Women's World Cup. The Dash have 6 players, 7 if you add Paulina Gramalia, who's out on loan, but they have not been playing well. I don't want to just bluntly say they suck, but they do suck, which is awful. It's awful. But, we had really high hopes, obviously, bringing in Ordonez to partner with La Bombi, and what we saw the players do last year was amazing. But, man, just right now, I guess, just if you want to recap this past game and with the Challenge Cup and what's up next and I guess what's happening right now with the Dashmen.
Yeah, I mean, suck is a bit of an understatement. They've been dreadful. So, and that's 3 losses in a row now. They haven't won since June 3rd against Orlando. It's almost 2 months. And I mean, it's just the Challenge Cup now. So I think that Sam just doesn't really even care anymore about the Challenge Cup. We lost this last game. We're already eliminated, I believe. I think there's like maybe like the slimmest of chances that we can qualify because I think we're 6 points off. Yeah, 6 points off Kansas City, and they have 12 better goal difference than us. So it's kind of impossible at this point.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
I mean, that game against Kansas City was just horrible. Desiano got her first goal for the club. That was about the only positive in that one. Alvarado.
That was a really good shot too, man.
It was.
Like
It was
I'm
a nice
pretty sure it
goal.
was more of a pass or a cross, but god dang, that was like top 90.
And she's barely played too, so it's good to see her get minutes. Good to see her get a goal. Maybe she'll earn some more playing time because I mean, it's not like anyone else is really earning playing time at this point. So if Emily went out, she went out injured, so Jane had to come back in. Gave up 3 bad goals. You know, Kristen Hamilton had a hat trick against us. Kansas City are a good team. I think they're solid. I know they're towards the bottom of the table right now. I think they got a good thing going right now. I think they're going to start improving. But man, that just wasn't good. I mean, we sucked at home last season too, but now we suck at home and on the road. So it's brutal. We got 2 more Challenge Cup games to go. I'm sure they're probably going to sit some people. If I'm Sam, I'm going to experiment a lot. Try to figure out something that works. We got until the 19th of August till we have another NWSL game. So things have to change.
Yeah, and I guess just to add, there was a couple pickups too, and obviously one was today. So I don't know if you have those names in front of you and you want to give that information out.
Yeah, well, they signed Andressa the other week. She's at the World Cup, and they signed Hope Breslin the other week. They never really even announced it. She just kind of showed up. She was there,
and she played too, didn't she?
Yeah, she played off the bench, and then today they dropped the bomb with Sarah. I don't know how to pronounce it. Hootegam.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Right.
Dustin was saying how to pronounce it. I don't remember what he said. But yeah, I mean, she's a midfielder. It seems like more of a 6. She could play center back as well. She plays out in the Bundesliga. 30, so she's very experienced. She's a captain for Austria, so seems like a quality player. Someone who should slot right in. If I had to guess, probably over Jacobs, they probably put her and Lynn together at center back, or if they put her in midfield, I don't know who they drop in midfield. I guess maybe Sophie. I don't know. Because Sam really, really, really likes Hurst, it looks like.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of wondering how they do it. Maybe they'll do Sophie, Putigam, and Andressa midfield. Maybe it's Hurst and Putigam. We'll see what they do. I think there's some options because the midfield depth has been an issue this whole season.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. Again, there's a game on this weekend, Saturday, at Show Energy Stadium against the first place team in Racing Louisville, 7:30 p.m. It's a must win for the Dash, like you mentioned, just points. I think if they lose, they're out, obviously, from that competition. So even if they lose or tie, actually, so they need all the points they can get. So this is the time to get it. So yeah, I mean, we are being honest. The team is not doing well. Sam Lady can't figure out a way to set up his team and get wins. The year started promising. Again, last year was really high just because of them making the playoffs for the first time in club history. So now things are getting a little rocky. Obviously, you have some main players. Sophie Schmidt, obviously you've been watching a lot of the World Cup yourself, Joey. Not the 2:00 games, probably in the morning.
Oh, no.
Even if they were paying me, it'd be difficult to get up and watch that, man. But yeah, so obviously Schmidt came in for the game with Canada and was able to get an assist. So key players are out, but even with them on the field, they were still finding it difficult to win. So Joey, anything else you would need to add for the dash before we move on to the next one?
Yeah, it's not really mattered who he's putting in and out of the lineup, even with Sophie, without Sophie, with Chappie, without Chappie. You know, it's not really mattered too much. I mean, it's just not been good enough. Whether there's players in, players out, players are healthy, players are not. Whether different tactical formations, it's just not working. I think it's to the point where we have to reevaluate the squad in a lot of ways because I mean, some players just are not as good as we thought they would be. I think
sure.
Diana is definitely a big one. I really like her, but
When she was rookie of the, was it rookie of the year?
Yeah, rookie of the year last year. I think she broke some sort of some rookie scoring records, if I'm not mistaken, too. But she's just been not good. She can't finish.
Yeah.
I mean, Bombi too. She's not the star we hope she'd be.
Yeah, and we know how streaky Ebony Salmon is too. So it just has not been good for them at all, man.
Yeah, it's kind of. I think we're kind of just hoping and praying that Andressa comes in and changes everything, which might be the case. She's a talented player.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, Christian loves Brazilians being Argentinian, so we'll leave it there for now.
Let me ask you a question. Before we move on. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Basically to Joey, but you know, obviously in the men's game, whenever a team kind of does poorly for a period of time, obviously the coaching staff and the coach itself, the head coach, you know, they start questioning him and they start questioning his abilities to be able to coach this team. Basically they ask for his head, right? Or her head, whatever may be the case. But how, like in the dash world, I guess we could say, how is that being portrayed? How, like, you know, are they calling for his head? Is he going to be out? Is he going to be able to stay? What do you think? Is he going to finish the season, or how does that work?
I think some fans are starting to get to the point where it's Sam Lady out. I'm going to disagree with it. I think a lot of the negativity in the performances are not even things that are really so much in Sam's control. I mean, Sam's not shooting the ball straight at the keeper. Sam's not missing all these chances. He's not giving away penalties. He's not putting in the stupid tackles for the red cards. I mean, it gets to a point where there's only so much the coach could do. I mean, the coach draws up the game plans for up to the players to put it out on the field and prove their worth, and they're not doing that either. So, I mean, I know it's always the easiest thing to call for the head coach's head because, I mean, it's a lot easier to replace a coach than it is to replace an entire squad. But I'm going to say we give him till the end of the season at least. I don't think they cut him before that. If things don't improve, I could see them changing it. I don't think I would. I mean, we had a new coach the last few years. I mean, we had with what's his name?
You have Clarkson.
Clarkson. We had a new coach and
Lawson.
Yeah, and then we have Sam Lady in this year. I don't want a new coach every single season. At that point, it gets kind of ridiculous. You got to let someone build over time. I mean, it's the same thing with the Dynamo. Like, people want just not intelligent people want Olsen out already, and
shout out to them.
And it's like, well, you can't have a new coach every single season.
Yeah,
that's not how it works.
But yeah, so Christian, going to you, man. Houston Dynamo, those, man, you tend to cover them. You know, you weren't able to make it out to this game on Sunday against Minnesota, but the Dynamo ended up tying the game 1-1, went to penalties, ended up losing 4-5 from the spot against Minnesota United, man. Just, you know, your thoughts on that match and what is to come for Coach Kenny Bundy's team, man.
Yeah, so kind of, you know, to start it off, to put it out there on the record, like what we see today in the League Cup, the whole, if you tie, you go to PKs, basically started in the MLS Next Pro. That's where, you know, they came up with this idea of like, there's no ties, you know, quote unquote, and we go to PKs to split up that third point. So that's where the idea comes from, basically. And honestly, it seems like the MLS wants to kind of push that all the way, you know, to FIFA. So interesting, and at that point, right, that now we have an actual tournament, like a Division 1 tournament with two countries, with two different leagues that have that as part of the tournament. So I thought it was interesting that of the influence that had in this tournament in the Leagues Cup. But when it comes to the team of Dynamo Dos, obviously we know that, and Kenny Bundy, mentions it a lot in almost every press conference, that this team is basically out there to provide players or create a pathway for these young players, academy players or non-academy players, like young prospects from other teams or even abroad, to come in and build themselves a career, a pathway, like I said, to maybe accomplish something in the first team here in the Dynamo, or move their career somewhere else, like Juan Castilla did. I was gonna say something Castilla, but that's not me. But as we know, Juan Castilla, to open up the week, he made the transfer. I guess he's a first team player, even though he would play mainly with Dynamo Dos, right? But going by contracts and stuff like that. But he was probably, if I'm not mistaken, he's probably the first guy to have ever been a Dynamo Dos player and being sold to another team for quote unquote profit, right? We don't know the sum or the money. I know there's a percentage that the Dynamo kept, and just in case he gets sold somewhere else. So there's that. So I mean, I guess if you think about it, or if you look into what the idea is of this Dynamo Dos, it's it's being fruitful in a way, right? We have Mikel, who came into the Dynamo Dos maybe with the idea of becoming a player for the first team eventually, and now we see him starting at games. He just started the last game, and there's a bunch of other players that are doing the same thing. Beto Avila also started with Dynamo Dos. Now he's playing with Charleston, that one team, the Battery, I think it is. But I guess that's the way to do it, right? And then also on the other side of things, when you talk about young prospects and products, you have, we were talking about Lampman, the young center back, 16 years old, tall dude. We talked about the great game that he had, even though obviously they lost. He had a really good game defensively. He had really good tackles, very good on timing when it comes to being, a defensive player. Really good with his body. He's a big 16-year-old kid. And then also with the distribution of the ball. Nowadays, center backs are, they can be kind of putting balls to the forwards directly. Nowadays, these across the pitch balls are very common, and having that technique from your center back is a very good thing. And having it at such a young age, it's a really good thing. And hopefully, the future is bright for this kid. Another kid that I really like, and I enjoy the way that he kind of moves around and reads the game, is Sebastian Rodriguez in the midfield. He had to leave in the beginning of the first half. He got hit in the face. Joey, I think he mentioned that he had some type of, I don't know, he got hit in the face. Basically, he won't be able to play. I forgot what Joey had said. Kenny told him. But it's looking pretty good. Gonzalez, Reigns are two guys that slowly but surely are starting to get, well, not Gonzalez, but Reigns for sure. He's getting minutes, US Open minutes. Gonzalez, I think we might see him in the future. He's so far the MVP of this team. I think he has 8 goals to his name, 7 or 8 goals, if I'm not mistaken. And then, just the usual suspects, Ndoye, Evans, Soto, who are also another youngster, U17 national team with the U17, also trying to put them together.
You mentioned Papa, and he's the one to score the goal for the Dynamo.
It's a pretty good goal. He had a good game. The thing about Popeye is that his finishing is always it's not always the greatest. So I guess it's something that I guess he has to work on. But he can be dangerous. He knows how to create space for himself. He knows how to create shot opportunities for himself. He can be a little bit of a ball hog, but then again, you want that from your forwards, right? You want that from your attacking players to keep the ball. Same thing with Jair Gonzalez, the Argentinian, who basically also was brought into the Dynamo 2 team to eventually, hopefully, move into the first team like Quiñones did at one point in time. But I mean, like Kenny Bundy said, this team is here not to win games. Obviously, winning is great, but at the end of the day, what you want to do is create talent, or help them develop, and hopefully help the first team. And if you're not going to help the first team, then you're going to be sold somewhere where your career can grow and also make profit for the team as well. So I think they're doing great. I mean, we love Kenny Bundy here at the Bayou City Soccer. We think he's the greatest dude ever. He always has time for us. He gives us great answers. He's very knowledgeable, super nice. You're never gonna get a smart ass answer, like we do with some guy named Ben Olsen. But it's two different styles of coaching or personalities and stuff like that. So the dude is a really people guy. Like, he loves these young guys. Like, you can tell those are his dudes, and he puts a lot of time and effort and everything to these guys and their development. So I think we're doing pretty good. And honestly, this Dynamo Academy, like, when you look at the starting 11 and when you look kind of at what we have in the bench, it's looking pretty good. And I'll shut up now.
Hey, I was gonna
coming
say,
to my TED Talk.
Yeah, I was gonna say you talk to Kenny Bundy way too much, man. You're giving those
Hey, bro, me and Kenny
5-minute answers, but hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Just finishing.
I
off,
do have. I have a question for Christian. He
go for it.
follows those more than anything, or more than us, I guess I should say. What do you think about? Should there be like a age limit?
Like young or old?
Old, like up to like a cap.
Like a 23, like
my take. I felt like at first when it was introduced, like Next Pro, all this kind of stuff, I felt like it was a great thing. But then seeing that there's players, 25, 26, it kind of like turns me off a bit, just because I feel like we should be producing younger players and keeping those younger players and then moving those younger players either to the first team or to another team. Because having like older guys, it just bums me out, because obviously, an older guy is possibly going to take a spot for a guy that could develop more. But I don't know. What's your take on that? I mean, do you?
It's a double-edged sword, because my first thought is to kind of go back to what I know, which is like the Argentinian league, right? And when you think about what this team is, it's kind of a reserve team, right? So like in Argentina, we have the Reserva, which is the second team, kind of like what it is here. And what that is literally the reserves of the first team. So they're like first team guys that are just kind of waiting for somebody to drop, in a way. So it's a double-edged sword, because on one hand, the guys that don't play in the first team and that need minutes or need to like keep their body moving, or just repetition, like we saw Chase Gasper play. Yeah, Dorsey, Chase Gasper, like these guys, if it wasn't, even either goalkeepers, Xavier and Xavier Valdez and the other goalkeeper that I'm blanking on his name right now. Tarbo, there you go. They kind of rotate as well they have a secondary goalkeeper in Dynamo those as well, that I'm also blanking on his name, but I picture the kid. There you go. See, Joey Stats saving the day. But Pannenberg, like, you would think that you would see him a lot too, but we also see Tarbo and stuff like that. And it's for those guys to get repetition, to get minutes, to be able to kind of like stay loose in a way. So I see the benefit in having that, but I also completely understand what you're trying to say on that one, because, we could have, instead of having Chase Gasper, who is a quote unquote veteran in the league, he's been around for a while. He knows what it takes, I guess, to be an MLS starter or a guy in an MLS roster per se. And we could see, Jathan Juarez, who is a younger kid, still trying to, cement himself in this team and, eventually, hopefully make it to the next step. Or even other guys that kind of are behind him. Like we have LaFleur or Gray that could play those positions as well, on the outside back. That also need minutes. And then you have, Chase, a guy that's supposed to be in the first team, coming down to kind of, take over their space type thing. Chase did only play 45 minutes, and then Jathan played the second half. It's kind of
Yeah.
weird because
Well, I was gonna add it in
Go
general. I
ahead.
mean, the idea is, I think it is what Rodrigo's saying, that it's supposed to be more of a developmental thing, and I think it's based on different teams, like different situations. Because you see, like other teams like Seattle Sounders or Philadelphia Union, you do
Yeah.
see guys like probably younger than 20, being
Yeah.
most of them being in that team. Now here with the Dynamo, that's not the case, because we already, I mean, that's for a different episode, but we know that the academy was not, is not where it should be compared to anything else out there. So, seeing last year was great, seeing that again, we didn't really see a lot of first team players come down much, right? It was mostly the kids. I mean, granted, there was a couple 23, 24-year-olds in Papa or Taylor Maples and stuff like that, but it wasn't like we weren't seeing the 30-year-old, or 29-year-old like Chase Gasper or anybody like that jumping in. But yeah, I think it should take, it's going to take some time, especially for the Dynamo, but I think some other teams already have it pretty well set up that you're going to see a lot of young guys, man. But yeah.
No,
I think an interesting thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go
No,
ahead.
I think an interesting set that Kenny was talking about today was about the pressure of fighting for playoffs in Next Pro. And I think that kind of adds into like having some of these older guys in the team, because I think where we're at with those players is where if we just put in all the kids, I think they're just straight up not good enough to compete with these playoff teams. So adding in a Jacob Evans and an Ndoye and a Maples in there, it keeps us up in those places. So then the younger kids can learn how to try to keep up with the pressure of making the playoffs. That's something that Kenny really touched on today when I asked him about the league positions. He said it's all about learning how to handle pressure and then taking that pressure and putting it on the MLS stage.
Yeah, good add on. And I was just gonna say, just to finish up the Dynamo Dos, they'll be playing on Friday night at 9:00 Central against Rural Monarchs. So, Joey mentions, they're trying to make the playoffs. Right now, there's basically a point away from the line of playoffs, and not a lot of games to go. I think there's maybe 6 more games for the Dynamo, maybe 8,
10 more.
Oh, 10 more, sorry. So and a lot of them are actually home, so there's still a chance for them to make it to the playoffs for sure. But it's there. It's gonna be, they're gonna have to grind it out for sure to try to get more points and quit dropping. Definitely at home, they've lost a lot of home games, which is something we did not see last season with Kenny Bundy. But guys, we are gonna go ahead and move into the Dynamo. I feel like Rodrigo's been sitting there pretty quiet most of the time, so we'll open up with him. Yeah. So I just want to say, obviously the Dynamo ended up playing against Santos Laguna at home. With Santos technically being the home team, just because of how the Leagues Cup is set up with all the Mexican teams, playing in the US. So Rodrigo, man, before we get into the goals and everything else, obviously the result was a 2-2 in the 90 minutes, and it went to penalties. But man, just your overall thoughts of the game and maybe just the atmosphere since you were there.
Definitely felt like Santos was playing at home, though. Shout out to those fans coming out. Now, all jokes aside, there is a lot of Mexican. There's a lot of Mexicans that support Santos, or maybe even other countries, since they obviously carry international players. But the first thing I would like to say is, like, why can't we get those guys to be part of our support group? They're local. They're obviously not traveling internationally, most likely, or states, whatever. But and I was kind of making a joke about Rudy. I'm like, oh, El Batallón looks kind of like a little bit less. Maybe they're over there in the Santos Porra. But you never know. I mean, there could be guys that actually would rather go over there. But seeing the atmosphere, especially both teams, obviously, Houston fans came out, Santos fans came out. It looked great seeing at least the passion of how people support. And I'm like, man, it'll be awesome if we can get somehow those fans that support other clubs to just unite and support, the local team here. Other than that, I was out there taking pictures. Had the, handy dandy camera that Rudy sponsored me with. So yeah, I
You're
was down
welcome.
there trying to do my best. Billy the Goat.
We'll
I
see
got a lot of
Billy the
practice.
Goat.
I got a lot of practice, a lot to learn though.
You gotta start
took
somewhere, man. You gotta start somewhere. You gotta
some
stay
good ones,
humble.
but yeah,
You know, some people out there are carrying periscopes and telescopes. I mean,
let's go.
and
Hey, Periscope.
we're out there with what we can. Sorry about
Okay, what
that.
the fuck is a Periscope?
But
You're
yeah,
like,
but
is that like
it
Zoom?
was
I'm
it
kidding.
was great being out there, and just got to get quicker at snapping the right picture.
Snip, 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 snip.
But
Is
yeah,
that it? That's all you got?
No, I mean, I was just my
Dude,
experience with that. It was fun.
You've been quiet for like
No, I mean, I
20
was
minutes,
talking
man.
about
Trying to get you
my
some.
experience there.
There you go.
First time doing that, so that was fun. But yeah, overall, the game was exciting. We saw the Dynamo have 2 early goals, and then after that, they kind of shut down. Something just snapped in them that they just did not look like themselves in those first 30 minutes of the game. Obviously, Santos had a lot of adjusting to do, and they probably made this quick, good for the Santos team, the coach making a quick adjustments on things and really flipped the game completely, because Dynamo looked like, from winning 2-0, it could have easily been 3-2, maybe even 4-2. Steve Clark had a pretty good saves at the end, and ultimately going to penalties. It's always like they say, you're flipping a coin there. And luckily this time, Dynamo really needed that win or that extra point to stay alive, and they got it. So that was, probably a good highlight of the night.
Yeah, not one penalty save by Steve Clark, even though he had
Wait,
like a million
he
saves.
did. He saved the last one.
He used the power on that one, but
It is the force.
he
That
used the
wasn't even
force.
close.
He moved that thing, Mara. He believed.
Shout out to Steve, but penalties are not his thing.
Nope.
No.
I don't think it's
said,
no Dynamo keeper. Like no Dynamo keeper I've seen recently, other than Pat. Obviously, I feel like back in the day he would save a couple.
No, what's his name
penalties
was
here
good
and
What
there.
about
too.
Joe? Joe Willis?
What's his name? Joe Willis was
Yeah,
pretty good.
Joe Willis.
Right?
Yeah,
I think Derek
alright.
saved a few
Good.
too.
Derek had a couple, but I would say Joe
Mhm.
Willis is probably the best one, because even Tally Hall
the
was good. but
shootouts. Yeah,
Joe
when it comes to
Willis
shootouts,
was
I feel
like the
like
man. But granted, it
Anyone
helps
but
when you're
March.
like 10 foot tall, man. That helps a little bit too. But no, hey, going to this game, obviously the goals, man. We'll start with the goals. First goal was by Corey Bear, which was kind of an odd. Yeah, shout out to.
We need to have like a
It was a really weird goal. Huh?
So we need a soundboard so we can go like every time we say bear.
Corey, but yeah. No, but yeah, you're right. Really odd goal. Me and Rodrigo were like, who the hell? How did he hit that? Obviously, we had to look up at the replay. It looked like he was trying to pass it back to Aliu, and it went straight into goal, which was fantastic. And we keep getting that bunny hop celebration. Have no clue what it means, what it stands for. It's kind of cute, it looks like it fits Corey, man. Like, but we'll never know, because we haven't been able to talk to him.
I just want to say that Rudy just called Bear cute.
No, I said the celebration.
Okay.
Cute. Yeah, see, I said the celebration fits him, but no, obviously, you have Corey scoring, and then not long after that, we get another really good goal by Griffin Dorsey, who has been playing really well. You guys mentioned him, getting time in dos. He's been trying to get back into the lineup after he kind of took over for a while under Nagamura. But Joey, that's your boy, man, and we'll try to put the clip of that goal here. But man, just take us through what you saw on that scoring opportunity.
Oh, that goal was just tremendous. I mean, I think what's really underrated in the build-up to that play is the way Herrera played. How he kind of made that move inside and then and then the movement off the ball to get himself in that space for Artur to play him into, and then to make the switch over to Baird was, or not Baird, it's a Dorsey, was just a really, really intelligent midfield play. And then I really liked what Aliu was doing off the ball. He made that run and that dragged 3 defenders his way. So that left Dorsey 1-on-1 with their left back, and just had a one move cut inside, banger on the left. It's what Dorsey does at this point, you know? It's becoming a signature
I think
move.
somebody, I think it was it the Dynamo that posted like the goal against LAFC? It was like basically like a copy
Yeah,
paste.
the exact same thing.
Which,
He was
yeah,
like, Arjen
crazy.
Robben, like.
Yeah, right. This is a left footy, man. And obviously, Rodrigo, you know, they could have easily could have scored a third goal. Achi was pretty dang close, but the defender did not give up on that play, man.
I thought you were gonna follow up more with it.
No, you're good.
I thought you were building it up, like,
Sorry.
oh, yeah.
No, I just want to, you know, we were there, we saw it.
Right. I think he just needed to hit it a little bit harder. Maybe instead of an actual chip, just kind of, you know, like drive it through.
Yeah, sure.
But defender really, you know, off the goal line clearance. And then they had a couple chances that they could have done like one-on-ones kind of thing. Obviously didn't finish those. And then it kind of, what do you call it? Made us struggle.
A 2-0, it's always it's the worst scenario in soccer. I mean,
Yes.
everybody knows that. For whatever reason, it's pretty easy for the opposition that is down to get back into it. And obviously Santos Laguna gets a goal towards the end of the match, towards the end of the first half, with Preciado scoring. And then, you know, pretty early on in the middle of the second half, there's a penalty called, which, guys, I don't remember who caused that penalty. Anybody remember? Like,
Mikel.
Was it Mikel?
Yeah.
Because originally
Took the shit out of his knee.
they were thinking it was offside, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
And then you're right, Mikel ended up taking the guy down. So obviously another penalty. Steve Clark did not save. It's funny enough because I said Christian this funniest video of this little kid just doing like so many dancing moves and everything, and he blocked the PK. And I'm like, man, we need to take this kid to teach some lessons for Steve Clark, man. Just kind of little bit of.
To me, it's crazy when like I see Steve Clark or even Xavier. I haven't really seen them save that many penalties. And to me, I feel like penalties is the easiest thing as the goalkeeper. I feel like if you at least do some kind of movement, if you kind of try to play with the forward or whoever, you know, the penalty taker, you get into their heads fairly easily, I feel like, and it makes it easier. But like watching Steve Clark, man, he does everything after the penalty's been taken.
He does.
Because I was watching him, like, you know, as they were doing the shootouts, and he was either talking.
Like he was going and talking crap to like the goalie.
The players,
like, bro, why are you talking crap with the goalie? Like,
and he honestly looked like, yeah, he just looked like he was in his own little world. But I'm like, dude, do some more movement, distract them. You know, move closer to one side than the other to throw him off.
He looks like he gave up
Even
before the kick is
point
taken.
to one side.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, just point to one side and just,
Something.
you know, make them nervous that way.
Do a jumping jack. Do a push up.
Yeah. Or just
Do a
commit.
backflip.
Just commit to one side. Like, don't wait,
Yeah.
because I feel like he waits too much. But if you're not that good at PKs, just pick one side and keep diving to that side until you eventually block one.
Yeah.
I also it seems like most of the penalties he just kind of stood there, you know, like the
Because he
typical,
waits.
like,
Yeah, he just
like the
waits
typical,
too
like,
much.
like you just step,
He
make one
did
step
get
and-
close in like 2 of the shots. Like he dove the right direction, and there's one that looked like he was gonna be. But yeah,
But he
I would
also,
say
you
the
know, as a
rest, it was like kind of like,
but
you know, whenever you throw yourself after the fact type of thing. Yeah.
But as a
It's good.
goalkeeper or former goalkeeper, whatever, you know, I never played professional, but you know, just watching him at the way he was setting up for his penalties, even, you know, going to one side, he was just kind of going low. So either way, you really don't have a chance. You know, his body positioning was just kind of diving to cover the low side. Typically, me, even if I'm guessing the wrong way, my body position or, a normal goalkeeper will be halfway in the air.
Right.
Because you'll get more of a leverage if you do try to go, then you can try to tip it. But with him, it was just kind of like trying to go the low route.
I mean, that goal that was missed, obviously the penalty that Raul Lopez missed. Chivas legend Raul Lopez, El Dedos, he missed. I mean, you can see Steve Clark was on the freaking floor, man, and the ball just was way over the bar. So yeah, it was one of those that, whatever he used the force, I guess. It's not make the force be with you, but he used that one. But yeah, no, you mentioned Dorsey. So a little bit, we got to hear Ben Olsen, obviously the press conference afterwards. And he was giving some love to Griffin Dorsey, which was good to hear. Christian, I don't know if you remember, or Joey, kind of what he said. And
he's been, I've been guilty of not showing him enough faith this year, and it's just nice because and you guys don't see it as much, and you can almost feel his positive energy by not even knowing him, that he's an awesome human and he's a great team guy, a guy everybody roots for, and selfless on a daily basis, trains very, very hard. So for him to right now lock that position down for us is very exciting.
I guess it's a quick summary.
Yeah, well, me and Joey were kind of talking about it in our group chat. The fact that Ben basically said, the fault that the reason Dorsey wasn't playing it's because of me. I didn't trust him enough to put him out there. So, usually you don't get that.
Throw him in there. God dang it.
Yeah, it's crazy because usually you don't hear coaches kind of take blame for stuff like that in a way. I don't know. Maybe it was strange for sure. Like
he owned up to it.
Yeah, exactly. Which is good. I think Ben is a pretty honest guy. I mean, we see him make faces when you ask him a stupid question. So he can't hide the honesty, right? Like at least he can be whatever you want him to be, but he's gonna tell you straight up what he thinks, which could be good or bad or whatever, But yeah, he was talking about how maybe at one point he didn't trust Dorsey enough to have him out there. But I mean, we've heard it not only from Ben Olsen this time, but we heard it from Hector Herrera and a couple of other guys like that. Maybe you wouldn't think have that relationship with Dorsey just because Dorsey is a blonde, blue-eyed dude, and HH is a Mexican guy.
Like
yeah, exactly right. Yeah, like drinking tequila out of bottles and stuff.
Yeah,
and maybe you don't see the relationship obviously inside or in the training grounds and stuff like that. Everything is completely different. You don't know who's friends with who or who isn't or whatever it may be. But HH has spoken very highly of Dorsey before, and is one of the things that has always been in the back of my head, because he talked about how Dorsey is one of the guys that is there on time, and even earlier than everybody else. Always works 100% on practices. Like he's always giving more than what is asked for, I guess, in whatever discipline or whatever they're doing in the training ground. So to know that the guy also, I mean, look at his story, right? He came in as a trial list. I don't know if that's a word, but he came in as a trial, right? If I'm not mistaken, a couple of years ago. And he stayed. And not only that, but for a little while he was a starter, right? Obviously the Dynamo started bringing in a couple of other guys that played that position because originally he's a winger, and
a striker originally.
There you go. He started pushing back, right? But when we brought him in, at least to my knowledge, right, he was playing on the right side as a winger or whatever it may be, and then slowly but surely they pushed him as a right back or even left back at times, if I can remember correctly. But the point being is that the guy has been busting his balls. I don't know if we can say that now, but he's been busting his ass. I don't know if I can say that either. But he's been doing pretty good. And honestly, me personally,
you said it, bro. Who cares?
Yeah.
You used the
he's a
wrong
good
thing,
guy.
but that's fine.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Christian. It's all
Hey,
right.
it's me.
He translated in his brain from Spanish to English.
Yeah,
He's like,
he
yeah, that one
did.
makes sense, but it technically means something else in
Se
English.
rompió el culo. Bust his ass. Yeah. Oh yeah, it's true. Yeah. Yeah, because in Spanish it would be se rompe el culo, but I guess. But yeah, the point is that the kid works hard, the kid scores, the kid, is always gonna give you 100%. The kid makes runs down the line, which is something that at one point we needed and nobody could give us. And he would be the guy, run all the way to the line, put a cross in, but there was nobody there. We like Dorsey. We're pro Dorsey here. Dorsey 2024.
He's the second best crosser on this team by far. And Herrera, I'd say, is still better.
Yeah. And obviously, with playing Dorsey on the right, you had to move someone else out of position. This time it was Escobar playing on the left, and he did a pretty good job. I mean, both of those guys like to go up, push up, and obviously
I want to hear what Joey has to say about Escobar.
I thought Escobar was pretty solid again. I mean, I think Escobar had a way better game against Orlando than he did against this one. I think it's more of the matchup because against Orlando he was playing against Ojeda and Facundo Torres, little guys who maybe look to make a little more. Well, against I don't remember the guy's name. I'm sorry, the guy who used to play for Miami that was on Santos. That dude's just all run at you with his pace down the wing, and Escobar had a little hard time catching up with them. But I thought if there's that wide center back spot, Escobar does a good job. I mean, he's probably more comfortable on the right than he would be on the left, but he does a good job. He pushes into midfield well, and he wasn't bombing forward like he does when he's at the right mid spot like he was. But when he's at the center back spot, he does the same thing as Sviatchenko does, where when we're in possession on that side, he likes to join in, get into the midfield, and help orchestrate with Artur and Coco and Herrera. It was good. I think his tackling is superb as always. It's just that pace that he lacks a little bit against some of those quick wingers. But I think for the time being, while Teenage is still out of the lineup, I think that's probably the best solution is to play him in that wide center back spot and then just keep pushing Dorsey up on the right wing spot because he's definitely a better attacker than Escobar. Definitely. I think when all things are considered, though, when everyone's healthy, Escobar has to still start over Dorsey because I think he brings the best of both worlds. Well, Dorsey's more the attacking guy. Escobar does both. He plays both sides of the ball very strongly.
Yeah. So, just to move a little bit just on the Leagues Cup related for what it's next, I guess, for the Dynamo. I don't want to get too much into the whole math and scenarios. There's a good article if you check out the website at BayouCitySoccer.net out there that explains it all because you kind of need a calculus degree at least to kind of figure that shit out a little bit. But okay, but the scenarios are though pretty simple. I'll keep them. It's either play Inter Miami, play Pachuca, or play Inter Miami in Miami, play Pachuca at home, or be eliminated from the thing, man. Obviously the chances are granted. Sometimes everything tends to go, against the Dynamo, so elimination is definitely a factor. But there's a higher chance of them just, going through no matter what. So I'll start with you, Rodrigo. What are you thinking? The scenario, obviously not Inter Miami. I'm sorry, Santos Laguna plays Orlando on Saturday. So what are you thinking, man? The Dynamo may see in the future.
Yeah, I think the highest outcome is gonna be the Pachuca game.
Yeah.
I feel like either scenario, if you're the opponents or whatever opposition, Santos or Orlando, I feel like you don't want to face Inter Miami right away just because of the whole hype with Messi and all that, because more than likely you're gonna get eliminated. I mean, let's face it, this cup, I feel like especially now, it's been built just for Messi to succeed, and it's gonna
okay, first of all, I hate when people keep saying that. I keep seeing that everywhere. Messi wasn't even here when that took part. And I mean, Messi's Messi.
No, I'm saying now. I'm not saying.
Yeah, no,
I'm
for sure. Of
like
course,
now,
right.
like
Yeah, you don't
You
want
know.
to take them on.
No,
If you
everything's
playing
gonna be about Messi winning. It's Messi.
yeah, especially
That-
exactly
that's-
right, and especially whenever you're gonna go to Miami. I agree. But as soon as he gets subbed out, all the fans are gone, so you can still probably get some goals out of that. So, anyways,
The fans don't play though.
uh,
If it's 4-0 already, I mean, it's 4-0. It's not like you're gonna get an extra goal.
I don't know if y'all saw, but Christian has like
Yeah, I know. Here's the Messi.
We'll keep him present. Yeah, as we speak of him.
Dude, he's in your background, just FYI. So
Yeah,
we
I know.
see at least 3 Messis back
Three
there.
messages. But I'm not a fan, though. I'm not a fan.
Yeah, so I'm with you, Rodrigo. I think that we can break down everything. Again, the worst case scenario is always the true scenario for the Dynamo. So elimination can definitely happen. But if you're going to take the odds and put money on it, I think the Pachuca, facing Pachuca at home is probably the most likely. Then my next question, obviously, you mentioned a little bit of players, maybe not necessarily seeing the field or why not. Obviously, there's rumors about Sebastián Ferreira maybe going to Vasco da Gama. There had been a couple rumors whether if he was permanent transfer or loan. Seems like a loan is probably was going to happen. He obviously wasn't at the Santos game. He didn't make the bench. At one point, there was like 5 defenders, and I'm like, oh my God, look at the bench, man. What are we gonna do? What's gonna happen? But so Sebas is looking, like his time here ended already. And then another thing that the Dynamo did was get an international spot as well. So I think some flexibility. I think they're trying to figure out the whole Coco situation. I believe the transfer window, and Joey, I don't know if you have the date for it, but I know it's closing, I think, next week. Or
It's the
the week.
5th. I want to
Yeah,
say
I
it's
think
the
I was gonna
5th.
say the 7th. I don't know why I have that.
Oh, it might be the 7th. Let me
But-
get that exact date.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
say 6.
The
In
6th.
middle. I don't know.
It's it started on the 5th, and then when does
Yeah.
it end?
So yeah. So Coco.
August 2nd.
obviously- The 2nd. Okay. So
That's what I was thinking. I don't know why I was.
So next Wednesday, we got exactly a week from today.
a week from today. Okay. So yeah.
About
So
a week ago.
obviously that's for the Dynamo to be able to bring somebody on a transfer. Free agents, I believe, they still can pick up. But if the whole Coco leaving and Seva's leaving, I'm sure they're trying to find some kind of quick replacement. As at the end of the day, the goal this season is to make the playoffs. The team is in a good standing currently in the league. Obviously anything can happen, but if they continue to play like they've been playing, obviously Coco has been one of the biggest, pieces for the Dynamo this season. Obviously, we know how great he did in the Gold Cup. But overall, I mean, those are things that the Dynamo are seeing. The best case scenario is to continue in this Leagues Cup for sure, because otherwise you get like about a month off, I think, because it ends the 26th, I think, or the next MLS game is like the 26th of August. So I believe it's a whole month. So you want to play as much as you can. But that's everything on the Dynamo specifically. But yeah, okay. But I was gonna ask you guys, just overall, man, the Leagues Cup. Have you watched a lot of games? Have you enjoyed it, Rodrigo? Just your thoughts on that. I know we get Chivas playing here shortly, so that's the game I'm gonna watch.
Yep.
But yeah, just just your thoughts on the Leagues Cup overall so far, man.
Kind of, a little bit of shocking in the sense of we've seen a lot of lopsided scores, especially in favor of the MLS. You would think, and I would assume just because Mexican league is getting back, they're in their 3rd week of games before this tournament started. Obviously, MLS is already halfway through their season. But yeah, like this lower, what we would call in the Mexican league, the lower teams have been struggling a lot. And then now, today, Wednesday, Thursday, the stronger per se teams will be playing now. So that's where things might take maybe a little bit of a turn. But overall, I'm impressed with the MLS. It shows that they're level throughout, not just the top teams have they've produced and the ones that make the CONCACAF Champions League or Champions Cup. Now, those teams are not the strongest ones. There's also all these other teams that are catching up to that level. And overall, it's being pretty even out with the Mexican League. Or, maybe it could be the Mexican League is, going down a bit in their sense of level as well, just exporting players to the MLS or other leagues. But so far, it seems interesting. I think everybody's just waiting for the knockouts, just so where the stronger teams actually compete, and we'll see more of even matches per se, or it could be one of those things that everything's up for grabs.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, and it's funny because as we're recording, obviously Monterrey is winning 3-0 against Real Salt Lake, which we know how good Monterrey is, obviously in Liga MX as well. But honestly, I'm kind of shocked. RSL has been playing really well, so for them to just get, dismantles like this, it's pretty rough. But yeah, I mean, overall, some games have been really lopsided. Some have been pretty tight. We know the Messi effect. Obviously him getting that winner against Cruz Azul was just like, written in a freaking movie script like 1,000 years ago, I guess, and it was just meant to happen. And then obviously him getting a brace to in Atlanta, and right now that, like you mentioned, the hype is if you don't want to kind of play against Inter Miami right now, so for the Dynamo's sake, it's better to move elsewhere. But man, I don't know, Joey, have you been able to watch some? If you want to add like any more to what Rodrigo said? And I know
the games have been fun.
Christian is a working man, so he may not have been keeping up with it as much either.
I think the games have been great. I mean, everyone's saying it's just all for the money, or the cash grab, everyone says. I mean, it's true. I mean, every competition is a cash grab in a sense. That's kind of the whole point. It's all business. But I mean, the games have been entertaining. I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed seeing Austin get killed by a really bad Mexican team. That was fun.
Yeah, nice.
Let's see. Was it the Vancouver Leon game was nuts?
Oh, that was crazy. Yep.
Mm-hmm. The Cincinnati Kansas City game was a nuts one too. So it's been fun. It's been really enjoyable. I think our games have been fun. I thought our game against Santos was really, really entertaining.
Yeah. Even the one with Orlando wasn't bad. I would say it's a fun game.
It's been a good quality, been a good mix of teams too. And we saw a lot of lopsided results today. I didn't watch any of those games, unfortunately, but seems there was 15 goals from three teams combined today.
It's crazy. But I was just gonna add too is the originally when I heard about the Leagues Cup, it reminded me obviously of whenever it was done, since 2019 or I think even 2018. But in the sense of it was kind of be more. It's supposed to be a this tournament, but it wasn't necessarily obviously official. Now with the whole, it's an official FIFA tournament. Both leagues are in, on hold right now. So there's no excuse to play your best players. And so you're slowly, even with Mexican teams only having like a couple games under the belt in their league, and the MLS being basically 2/3 of the season already, it makes it a little bit fun. It's kind of like the reverse of what we tend to see with the Champions League between the MLS and the Mexican teams. But yeah, so in a way, obviously, it shifts the momentum a little bit, and obviously, all the Mexican teams playing in the U.S. But again, we mentioned it earlier. It's for a lot of them is going to be like playing at home, just because of how many fans are going to go and show up and support, especially the big teams. Whether it be Tigres, Monterrey, well, depending when they play, obviously too. But Chivas, America, those teams always are going to get a lot of people to show up. So it's fun. Yeah, of course, it's a money grab. Everybody's going to make money out of it. Who it's good. It's good competition to see out there. So I'm enjoying it. And I guess, Christian, if you want to add anything, if not, we can start closing it out, man.
Yes. No, I honestly, no, I don't have anything to add.
Okay.
But it's pretty fun.
I have a question for you then before you close it out. I'm going to be like, last one for me. You have you're gonna have to share that chimichurri recipe, bro. You're gonna have to share it. So maybe make an
Special
article.
sauce.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just sauce. Yeah, but the how to make it as an Argentinian, man. Nothing, anyways. But yeah, no, man. Feel free to close out the show.
Yeah, no, for real, yeah. Thank you guys. This been great. Hopefully, you guys, if you guys are watching, this is how we look. Thank you. We'll shave next time, maybe. Us that we can, But no, yeah, you can, just if you want to find the guys, you can find Rudy at Rudy Segura 3. You can find Rodrigo at Rodrigo Segura 01, Joey at Joey Chavala 10, and then me at Chris Putalias. I almost forgot my own name. At Chris Putalias on Instagram and Twitter for everybody there. Don't forget, you can find us, the group itself at Bayou City Soccer, Instagram, Twitter, or X, I guess.
Facebook, I guess.
Instagram, yeah, whatever Elon Musk.
Threads. Rodrigo needs to make a TikTok.
And Rodrigo's gonna make a TikTok soon. We'll see you.
There you go. We're gonna see Rodrigo dancing.
Imagine Rodrigo dancing. Oh my god.
Yeah,
with
I
Astro.
can see it. We'll get we'll get the Dash players to join.
Yeah, we need to get Manny to dance with Ryan.
Do a whole trend.
There you go.
Do a whole trend.
We're about to have some TikToks, guys. So stay tuned. But yeah, BayouCitySoccer.net for everything and anything, guys. Don't forget breakfast links. Joey does a great job with the ratings after games. Before the games, Rudy does scouting reports, enemy scouting reports. So you get to know. So like a lot of people didn't know, what Santos had. But guess what? Rudy knew, right? He knew who was going to score and how they're going to score and everything. So if you want to stay up to date on our enemies, check out everything there. Tuesdays, we have the Dynamo Dos Tuesdays there. Just honestly, there's a bunch of content literally every day coming out.
Yeah, and for Spanish, man, we tell people flex a little bit about being in the radio.
Yeah, we are radio personalities, by the way. So put some respect on our names. But yeah, no, you can find us. We do a little segment on Encanchados 93.3 on 93.3 FM here in Houston. I know Joey's over there in New Mexico. But if you were in New Mexico and you spoke Spanish and you wanted to hear us, you can find us on the Euphoria app. We are also there as well. So yeah, check us out over there at 10 o'clock in the morning from 10 to 12. We are usually sometime in the beginning, sometime in the end. So you just kind of have to listen to the whole show to find out. But it's a pretty fun show there with Cesar Procel, who is one of the commentators. He does a Spanish radio broadcast for the Dynamo. So another hometown legend here that helps us out and everything. So yeah, don't forget BayouCitySoccer.net at Senadav for the sponsors and great beer. And we'll see you guys next time. Or actually, that's Rodriguez.
No, just go ahead. Just close it out yourself, man.
Yeah,
close it out, bro.
We'll think. You can close it out, but I was gonna thanks Joey for stopping by, man. We'll probably have to add you on here so you can jump with us more often. Trying to get a recording once a week. I was telling Christian we're trying to get them done on Monday so that way I can start editing the videos and have them by Wednesday, worst case scenario. So maybe you can be a part of. We'll have a. I was gonna say a foursome, but that was gonna sound awful.
I'm out. All right, guys. Houston fans, thank you for listening.
Rodrigo's like, yo, back to threesome.
Close it.
But no, and thanks for listening, guys, man. I know you guys out there, supporting Houston sports, whether it be just the Houston Dynamo, the Dash Dynamos, we really appreciate it. So just make sure you like, subscribe, retweet, man, share in your stories if possible. Tell people about it. We really appreciate you guys tuning in.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, feel free, Rodrigo. Close it out, man.
You did it. That's good.
Oh, that's pretty good. I guess he's not gonna say nothing.
I guess not.
Basically said it.
It was good, but you have to finish it off, man. Everybody knows.
All right, already covered it, but always remember to always hold it down and keep it forever orange.
There you go, man.